And I invite you, if you desire, to follow along in our pew bulletins. These are the pew Bibles. They might be underneath the seat in front of you, and if not, I can get one for you. All right, there we go. There's one if you'd like to. You can share it amongst yourselves. It's going to be in the book of Matthew, so of course, in your Bible, it will be near the back. It's in the Gospel, so it's near the very back. It's in the book of Matthew, Matthew 13. So if you go way back in the Bible, Matthew 13, we're going to go all the way back there. So Matthew 1:3. I'll give you a second to get there, a little bit more. Matthew 13, verse 1. Alrighty, so there we go, right there.
Got it.
Got it. All right. So why don't we read from the first verse together up until the next section? You see the purpose of the parables. So we'll stop at verse 9, okay? Here we go. That same day, Jesus left the house and went to the lakeside, where he sat down to teach. The crowd that gathered around him was so large that he got into a boat and sat in it, while the crowd stood on the shore. He used parables to tell them many things. Once there was a man who went out to sow grain. As he scattered the seed in the field, some of it fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some of it fell on rocky ground, where there was little soil. The seed soon sprouted, because the soil wasn't deep. But when the sun came up, it burned the young plants, and because the roots had not grown deep enough, the plants soon dried up. Some of the seed fell among thorn bushes, which grew up and choked the plants. But some seed fell in good soil, and the plants bore grain. Some had 100 grains, others 60, and others 30. And Jesus concluded, "Listen then, if you have ears." All righty. And that's where we'll stop for now. All right, so I think you're all pretty much a group of leaders. I know that you've been people who have led things in community, or even if you've just planned things in your own homes and such. But I want to ask you something. Have you ever found yourself very, very, very interested in some project? Some project that you really thought was worthwhile. Some project you thought that was going to be fantastic, not only for you because it sort of made you happy, but you thought that it would help others. How many of you had the desire so much to ask others to be a part of this project? Oh, there you go. A willing person there. Okay. So, tell me, react a little bit here. When you have a project, or if you had a project, and you really were excited about it, and you wanted others to get involved, tell me about some of the results of those attempts.
Real democracy takes forever.
Real democracy takes forever. Interesting. How about somebody else? What have your results been when you've been, yes?
Soup kitchen.
The soup kitchen. So you're very involved in it and such. Tell me, how do others react to that?
Very positively.
Very positively. Wonderful. Who else has something they've done? Yes, Connie.
I was involved with the nation, Essex, Haiti, sister city.
Uh-huh.
We had the dream of building a library in Deschatal, and saw the children sitting along the wall where they knew it was going to be built, with candles and books, waiting for this to be built. It was just an awesome thing.
So others got very involved in it?
Years, and it's up and running.
Good. So other people got very excited about that. Good. Any other ideas or other thoughts about when you've tried to do a project? Jeff?
I thought my last church might enjoy a Christian rock band, but they didn't.
A Christian rock band, but in his last church, but they didn't like it as much as he thought they would. All right. The Essex Weeders, yep.
I like to see other people join.
You like to see other people join?
We have a wonderful group.
Okay, how's that going?
It's going great.
It's going great. Are other people joining?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good, good. Interesting he brought up the Weeders. That's a good thing. You know, though, there are many times, I'm happy for your successes. It's incredible. I'm very happy that you have been a part of things when you were beginning either in leadership or you were just part of the group and you did something and people went, yes, that's a great idea. Okay? But have you ever had an idea that just seemed to go over like a lead balloon?
Trying to get everybody to move up closer to the altar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it happens. Yes. Yes, Cheryl.
In a church that I attended years ago, I took over the production of the Christmas play,
The Christmas pageant, yep.
and I changed it from the format that had been in place for about 30 years. And that didn't
Yes, yes. Cheryl took over the Christmas pageant, and they've been doing the same thing for 30 years, and she decided to try something new, and nobody wanted to do it. Interesting. It happened. No, there wasn't great joy over it. Gotcha, gotcha. There is this, here's our story. Here's our scriptural story. We see that this is a story. This is an example. This is something to learn from. The story of someone who had a bag of seeds and went out to plant them and didn't really care where they were going to put them. They decided they were going to go out and they were going to spread the seed. And the seed first fell on some very hard ground on the path, and they weren't able even to take hold because the earth was too hard. The soil was too hard. And the birds just came and ate up the seed. And then the other one went into a place that was very shallow soil, and they actually sprouted. But because the roots didn't have room to go down deep, the sun got too hot, and it just scorched the plants, and it killed them. And then there was some that were thrown into a bush or a group of thorns, of weeds. And it started growing, but the weeds were growing stronger. And the plant died because the weeds were stronger. But some of the seed fell on good soil. It wasn't too hard. It wasn't too shallow. And there weren't other nasty plants that were competing. And the seed got in there, and it was able to grow and reach down deep and then to flourish. And something good happened with that. So we had 4 different scenarios for seeds to grow. So tell me something. Out of those 4, how many were unsuccessful? 3. Only 1 was successful. This is a very important story that Jesus was conveying. I think in many ways probably Jesus was sort of telling his own story. His own story of the fact that he was going out into the world and was trying to share something that was precious and wonderful. He knew was great, and of course God, had sanctioned this. Even God had sanctioned this good thing. And yet, it might have been only 3 out of 4, or 1 out of 4 people ever really was able to receive what he had to say. This is the plight of spreading the good news. The good news is a wonderful thing that I think is a wonderful thing in your life and such. And sometimes we even don't get all the good news, don't understand it all. Because sometimes we can be very hard surfaces. Sometimes we can have a lot of shallowness about us. We go through phases. Sometimes we can be busy doing all kinds of other things, and there be all kinds of weeds in our lives. And when the good word comes to us, we can find ourselves choking it out because we're so focused on something else. But every once in a while, we're ready. We're in good shape, or we're in need. It may be even actually our weakest moment in our lives, when the soil is ready, when we are ready to receive something, and the word, whatever that word is, of God, is able to find itself in through the fractures or the cracks that are in ourselves, the brokenness that is in ourselves, and that seed gets down into there, and it finds and it roots itself, and it starts growing, and all of a sudden something changes in our life, and beauty comes back into our life because, yeah, we were broken. We were shattered. It's a strange thing, but it's an amazing thing. This is the story of the sower, and it's also the story of a leader. There will be times when you have so much energy and such a great love and such a great hope for the world and a great hope for others. And you may have this big bag of seeds, and you may be casting the seed out. You may be casting it all over the place, wherever you go. But only once in a while will it ever be well received. This, unfortunately, is the story of being someone who is leading, someone who is caring. There will be times that you are just going to be frustrated. But maybe that one time out of every 4 that it takes hold, that it takes root, and it grows into something incredibly wonderful, is worth all the other seed that seems to have been lost. That's our job. That's our job as sowers of the good word, is to keep casting and realize that no matter how hard I want you to know something, I'm never going to be in control of you being able to receive it. And when you go out into the world and when you lead, you never know. You cannot control how others are going to be receptive or not. And so what are we called to do? Go back to our stores of grain and fill up our pouch one more time and go back out and sow seeds again. And just keep sowing seeds and not take ownership of whether or not it's going to grow. Just have it in our heart, in that beautiful flower in our heart. It will be reproduced. It will. And it'll happen in a wonderful and glorious way. So this is the story, the parable of the sower. And I welcome you to keep sowing seeds of graciousness and compassion, of love and of service, of hope and of grace. My friends, may the Lord be with you.